Hi, today we're looking at section 3.4, solving two-step and multi-step inequalities. So far we've solved just one-step inequalities using either addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. So again, take out something to write notes on and pause the video at any time to continue writing notes, and also complete the check it out problems after each of the examples. Our learning targets today: I can solve inequalities that contain more than one operation. Here's a chart that kind of summarizes the difference between solving multi-step equations and multi-step inequalities. So the difference is multi-step equations, they only have one solution for an equation. Inequalities have infinitely many solutions. Looking at a way the solution is shown, with an equation it's equal sign, the variable equals a number. In inequality, we use shading. In this case, x is greater than 5, so we have an open circle at 5 and shade everything to the right. And the symbol that we use, with an equation, it always stays as equals and never changes. With an inequality, our sign can reverse or flip when we're dividing or multiplying by a negative number. Those are the differences. Now let's look at how they're the same, comparing them. First step in solving both is using distributive property whenever possible. Simplify before you do anything else. And also, for both of them, we have to isolate the variable. So that's how they're the same. So let's look at an example solving multi-step inequalities. Our first example, 45 plus 2b is greater than 61. Okay, so as in solving an equation, we want to get the variable by itself. So we subtract 45 from both sides, leaving 2b on the left-hand side and 16 on the right. And then divide both sides by 2, resulting in b is greater than 8. So we have an open circle at 8, that's our endpoint, and we're going to shade everything to the right. And again, remember to check your solution. So you can substitute 8 in for b, and make sure it's going to equal, so we get 45 plus 16, and it does equal 61. And then we can pick a number that is either part of the solution or not part and see if the inequality holds true. Let's pick 0. So 0 should make the inequality false. 45 plus 0 is greater than 61. It is not, so 0 is not part of our solution. So we have our inequality sign facing the right direction. Now let's look at the second example. For our second example, we have 8 minus 3y is greater than or equal to 29. So we subtract 8 from both sides, leaving negative 3y on the left and 21 on the right-hand side. Divide both sides by negative 3, and since we're dividing by a negative number, we need to reverse our inequality sign, leaving y on the left, negative 7 on the right, and y is going to be less than or equal to negative 7. Since negative 7 is part of our solution, we have a closed dot at negative 7, and we shade everything to the left. Again, going the same direction our inequality sign is pointing when we've solved with the variable on the left-hand side. So let's check our solutions and see if it holds true. When y is negative 7, 8 plus 21 is 29. That holds true. So negative 7 is our endpoint. And again, let's pick a number and check if it is part of the solution or not. Let's go with 0. 0 will be down here and it's not shaded, so 0 should not be part of the solution. 8 minus 0, is that greater than 29? No, it is not. So we are shading the correct direction. And now it is your turn. Here are 3 inequalities to solve and graph. Bring any questions you have to class and we'll get those answered. Now let's look at simplifying an inequality before we solve it. So our first example, we have 2 minus a negative 10 is greater than negative 4t. So in our first example, we can do 2 minus negative 10 results in 12, and the negative 4t stays on the right-hand side. Now we divide both sides by negative 4, leaving negative 3 on the left and t on the right. Since we divided by a negative number, in this case negative 4, we have to reverse our inequality sign. Before it was greater than, now it is less than, resulting in t is greater than negative 3. It's an open circle at negative 3 for our endpoint and shade everything to the right. Now let's check and see if our inequality, if we have our correct endpoint. So when t equals negative 3, 12 equals -4 times -3 is 12, so 12 equals 12 is correct. So our endpoint is correct. Now let's check a number, see if we shaded the right way. 0 in this case should make the inequality true. So is 12 greater than 0? Yes, it is. So we've shaded the proper direction. Now let's take a look at example B. -4 times the quantity 2 minus x is less than or equal to 8. So to solve this inequality, we want to distribute the -4 to all the terms in the parentheses so we can remove the grouping. So -4 times 2 is -8, and -4 times a negative x is a positive 4x. And that's still less than or equal to 8. Add 8 to both sides, get our variable by itself. Leaving us with 4x is less than or equal to 16. Divide both sides by 4, resulting in x is less than or equal to 4. So our endpoint's at 4, closed circle because 4 is part of our solution, and we're shading everything to the left. Let's check and see if our endpoint works. So when x is 4, 2 minus 4 is -2, times -4 is a positive 8. So 8 will equal 8. And let's pick 0 again. That should be part of our solution. So 2 minus 0 is 2. -4 times 2 is -8. And -8 is less than or equal to 8. So again, we graphed it correctly. And our last example, 2/3 f plus 1/2 is greater than 1/3. So to solve our last example, we subtract -1/2 from both sides of the inequality, resulting in 2/3 f is greater than, and we had to get a common denominator, so we went to 2/6 minus 3/6. Because in order to subtract or add fractions, we need a common denominator. Leaving us with 2/3 f is greater than -1/6. Multiply both sides by the reciprocal of 2/3, resulting in f is greater than -1/4. To graph this, we have an open circle at -1/4 and shade everything to the right. And again, check your solution, make sure your endpoint is correct and that you've shaded the proper direction. Here are 3 examples for you to look at. And our last is a story problem, but of course, to rent a certain vehicle, Rent-A-Ride charges $55 per day with unlimited miles. The cost of renting a similar vehicle at We Got Wheels is $38 per day plus 20 cents per mile. For what number of miles is the cost at Rent-A-Ride less than the cost at We Got Wheels? So like with any story problem, we have to first define a variable. So we're going to let m equal the number of miles since that's what we're asked to find. So our inequality, we have 55 is what Rent-A-Ride charges. So that number is going to appear in our inequality. And that's our Rent-A-Ride. And we want Rent-A-Ride to be less, the cost to be less than, so I have the less than symbol here, the cost for We Got Wheels. And We Got Wheels is $38 per day plus 20 cents a mile. So $38 plus 0.2 times m, which is the number of miles. So I want to get the variable by itself, so subtract 38 from both sides, giving us 17 on the left-hand side and 0.2 m on the right. Divide both sides of inequality by 0.2 to get our variable by itself. So we have 85 is less than m. Flip it around, the whole inequality, so m is going to be greater than 85. So the answer is going to be Rent-A-Ride costs less when more than 85 miles. You're going further than 85 miles. So here is your chance to do a story problem. Have fun. And so in summary, when you're doing inequalities, two-step and multi-step inequalities, simplify first. That's going to save you some work. If you have numbers you can combine, distributive property, any of those things, simplify first before you do anything else. And always check your solution. Check the endpoint to see if it's going to equal. And then pick a number other than the endpoint to check, make sure your inequality sign is going the right direction. 0 is usually a great one to pick. It's fairly quick to do, and 0 will either be a solution or will not be a solution unless it's already your endpoint and you have to pick something else. So bring any questions you have to class and we'll go over those. Thanks.